Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fred.
This is Real Talk with George and Fraser. Fraser, what's going on, brother?
Not much, brother. Just relaxing and chilling, catching the breeze. What about you?
Ha ha, very funny. You always be hiking on me because I got snow up here. Yes, I did go outside and put some salt on the steps and move some snow off the car while you was sitting in Florida catching a breeze.
Man, shorts on and all, brother.
Shorts on and on. I got
can't
you.
say.
Because you know what's going to happen, Fresh? When
What's
we're
that?
here in Jersey and it's 95 degrees cold and you sitting there calling me, oh, I'm hot. It's 110. Can't go outside. I'm going to be like this. Oh, catching a breeze. Look at the guns. All that other stuff you doing to me. Watch.
I ain't mad at you back. We'll do it. I'm like, it's too hot. I'm gonna come in the wintertime. You gonna switch. You come over down here, I'm gonna go there with cold. Then we have some fun.
Too funny. Too funny. You know my wife ain't letting me come to Miami by myself. All right. You froze a little bit, Frage, but we can get it going.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Did you hear me?
Oh yeah. You go, my bad. It's
That's
weekend.
okay.
You know
It
that
happens.
weekend, man. The weekend jam sessions.
No doubt. But did you hear me? I said, you know, my wife ain't letting me come to Miami by myself.
You gotta bring it with you. You can't be right. You can't be right by yourself anywhere. You know
No,
that.
see, I understand, but it doesn't work like that because we got kids. So you just can't dip out,
What?
and leave the kids. Boom. I'll
Grandparents?
see you later. We'll be back.
What? Hello, grandparents. Hey, how you doing? Grandkids.
Too funny.
And chip off.
All right, all right. We just might do that. So don't be mad when you hear the on the door. Fred, what's going on? We down here. We got a great show today, man. Great show. Author. Got a book coming out. I'm empathetic to that because I'm an author myself. I know the struggles. But Dr. Reed is here with us. We want to welcome her into the show.
Most definitely. Hey, how you doing?
Wait, okay. Yes,
There we
I'm
are.
back. I'm here.
Nice.
Hello, hello. How y'all doing today?
Doing
Oh,
pretty
look
good.
at that little snazzy bastard. I see over
You know,
there.
It's
I
okay.
did a little something for the people. Yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me. I love it. I love it.
Greatly appreciate you being on the show.
Absolutely.
Especially at 1 o'clock on Saturday while Fraser's just in Florida catching a breeze.
Yeah,
Listen.
brother.
So I'm in North Carolina. It's cold. So I actually have a little blanket. You can't see that. Little blanket on my legs because, we
Okay.
only get dressed at the top.
That's
Women,
right.
we get dressed at the top. The bottom is shorts.
Okay.
But it's good to see you guys. Just trying to keep this thing, popping safe and keeping it positive. But thank you guys again for having me. I love it. Love it.
Absolutely.
Hey,
It's
we
our
are
pleasure.
honored, a pleasure.
Absolutely.
You
Our
love
pleasure.
authors. He love authors. So you right here. That dog there.
That's us. People of my own heart. Dr. Reed, tell the listeners and fans a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So again, thanks for having me. I am Dr. Kesha Reed, and I bring you greetings from Durham, North Carolina, better known as the Bull City.
That's right.
But I was actually raised in Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm a Southern girl. So I'm happy to connect with you guys. I'm an educator. So I've been an educator for 24 years, working with K-12. And then now I work with college students. And so love doing that work and supporting my students to help them reach higher in their careers. I'm also an entrepreneur. So I have an educational consulting business, Reach Higher Educational Consulting. So you'll hear Reach Higher a lot because that's pretty much my platform. And so Reach Higher Educational Consulting, where I work with individuals and organizations to help them plan out their goals to move forward with their strategic plans. If for individuals figuring out their career, do you want to get another degree? Really to help people work through that step. And then my most recent venture is that I'm an author. And so excited. My book actually launched on Thursday. So just hit the streets. The book, I have my approved copy. So it's got this little strip, but yours won't have that on it. But you can order the book. You can order the book, Reach Higher in Life and Love. So again, reaching higher in life and love, and it's finding the love you desire and deserve. And so the message or the point of the book is to really talk or help women to realize, and people to realize, that your value is not determined by whether you're partnered or not. So whether you got a boo thing or not, you by yourself, you are enough. And so I wanted to talk about my journey in life and love, and we can dig into it. But again, my premise is helping individuals, women, men, young people, old people, all people realize that you can have a fulfilled life, and that if you work hard and if you're intentional you can really reach any goal that you set for yourself. So that's me. HBCU graduates. I graduated from Alabama A&M University. Shout out to my Bulldogs. Yes.
Okay.
A master's from North Carolina Central. So my Eagles, Eagle Pride, and my doctorate. Eagle Pride. Those are my Eagles. Yes. And I actually work. That's where I work too. So that's the
Eagle phrase, not Wakanda.
Oh,
right.
Wakanda
too. We can definitely do that all day. And then a doctor from East Carolina University. So just happy as a first generation college student to show brown boys, black brown girls, brown girls that you can do it, And children often know that they can be what they see. And so I like being that model to show you that you can do it, you can make it. I have a sweatshirt. I'm gonna shout out my girlfriend, Dr. Jen. Hopefully she's listening. I have a sweatshirt that says hood to hooded. And so people like hood. I said, yeah, we lived in the hood for a little while, and it's okay. In Birmingham, Cooper Green, from my Birmingham people, you know Cooper Green, right? And then I was able to get hooded when I became a doctor. And so you can do it, you can make it. Just keep pushing. So that is the premise of who I am, helping people to push, reach those goals.
You said a lot and you unpacked a lot. And I appreciate that, because I have about 10 questions that I'm going to ask you.
See that line
starting from education to HBCUs to what was your thought process in writing a book? Because my books literally were like 15 years in the making. I had outlines. I started them. One book was 10 years, one book was 7 years, and the last book was almost 2 years. And it just because I got caught up with life, they just put it on the shelf. And what happened with COVID, I said this story before, but I'll say it again so you can hear it. The Lord kept pushing me. What about them books? And I'm like, nah, I'm not writing no books. And he said it again, what about them books? I said, Lord, I don't know how to write no daggone books. I said, I was trying to write some books. And then what happened was I had to put it on the shelf. And you know my story, so why are you pushing me for some books? And then he quickened my spirit and I stopped. And I said, okay.
Well, he snatched you right on up.
Right. I said, if I'm supposed to write these books, I don't know how to write a book. And as soon as I opened my phone, I was on YouTube and a commercial ad came up. Do you want to know how to self-publish? I was like, this ain't even right. I said, this ain't even right.
Just quick confirmation. Just quick.
You know me. So I took the Gideon approach. I was like, Lord, if I'm supposed to be finishing these books by tomorrow, this same offer will be here. Sure enough, I woke up tomorrow, same offer, opened up YouTube, and they sent an email to me like, we're still here waiting for you. I was like, okay, Lord, I got it. So that's how I got my books done. What was your inspiration for you to write your book? Was it just based on experience or things that you see specifically in your life path, or a lack of something that you don't see?
Okay, great question. Yeah, so I wanted to write a book for years. I really did, but just always on the go, ripping and running. I'm a true extrovert, as you'll get to see and learn today. So always doing social things and out with my sorority sisters, my friends, my now husband, who was the boo, until we got married. So just always doing stuff. So with COVID, it forced me to sit still. All of us had to sit still. And I said, okay, like you, okay, Lord, I've been talking about in my mind writing a book. I guess I have time now. So I actually started the book last April. So COVID started in March. I put pen to paper, I typed, fingers to the keyboard in April. And it probably took me about 6 months. And so what really got me comfortable with talking about the story was that, like I said, I work with college students. So the book talks about my journey post-divorce. And so how I went from, severe depression. I was suicidal at times. It was really, really dark. I was in a dark place for a while. And so I talk about that journey and healing and restoration. And I want women to know and people to know that you can come out on the other side as pure gold. And so I started talking about my journey actually on my campus to college women. So one of my good girlfriends, Dr. Lewis, if you're listening, would do a real talk series with our college students. And for 4 years, I was on a panel about relationships, love, situationships, just things about love and life. So that gave me the courage to just talk about it, and to talk about how, sad I was and depressed during that time. The first year, I would tear up and, my lip would start to shake because it was still kind of tender. By year 2, 3, and 4 of those panels, I was like, what y'all want to know?
Right.
Tell me, what are your questions about? You know, me, I'm an open book, literally.
Yeah.
So that gave me the courage to start talking about it. And that's when I said, you know what? I've talked about my story a lot. It's time to write it down. It's time for me to reach the masses with this message that you can make it and that you can come through. And so that's the motivation, to help women know that you can come through. I've had people to call me, oh my God, you look great post-divorce. How did you get there? Girl, that took 10 years. Okay, this right here, this was a process. I used to be a mess, would cry to work, cry my way to work, cry when I walk in the door. I would put on the makeup, right? We know how to fix it up. But when I was in this house and quiet and alone, it would be just sometimes unbearable. And so God brought me through that thing. You mentioned the word. So I'm a person of faith, a Christian, so we can get into that. But the word got me through. Prayer got me through. My faith got me through. My church family, my friends. And so I said, I have to write this down. And what I've learned is your test is a testimony for somebody else. Your mess is a mess for somebody else, right? And so that's what motivated me to have to tell the story. And then actually the mechanics of writing, I just put, fingers to the keyboard in April. It took me about 6 months. And I didn't bring it. I don't want to get up because I got on shorts, but I have a motivation chart. I'm not dressed at the bottom. I have a motivation chart that I would fill out a little chart for each chapter. So the book has 7 chapters. And so I knew I wanted 7 tips on how to reach higher in life and love. And I chose 7 because 7 is the number of completion, right? And so I knew I wanted 7. Yes, come on. Completion. And so every time I finished a chapter, I would color a square. And then once I got to the 7th one, I had people that were checking on me and keeping me accountable. Like, how you doing, Kesha, with your writing? And I wrote a dissertation. I'm a doctor. So I wrote a dissertation 3 years ago. And that was kind of the same process. I had a motivation chart for that. And so just being focused, I had certain days that I would write. So I wrote on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I did something similar with my dissertation. So I had to use the same kind of academic strategy for the book. And even though I'm talking about myself, it was still deep. It took me back to those places when I was depressed and, in those moments. And so it was therapeutic. But I'm so glad I was able to birth this baby. And my prayer is that it helps people to know if they don't take anything else away, that you're enough. You by yourself are enough. You don't have to have a husband or a significant other to be significant. Oh, I'm gonna have to write that down. Oh, y'all write that down. You don't have to have a significant other to be significant. And I struggled with that for at least a decade. So my first marriage, I got married right out of college, divorced. Then I was engaged to somebody else. Fast forward, we broke up, got back together. So we had 2 wedding dates. So my people looking at me like, girl, what y'all doing? So I love him. God said, let's do it. God was like, no, he's not it. Great guy, but he was not the guy, right?
For you,
so fast forward, I'm with my wonderful forever mate. He's actually at work, but such a great guy, Yuri J. Reed. That's my boo thing, my life partner, my husband, and just tickled. And so once I finally got to the place, and I'm answering about 15 questions, I'm sorry. But once I got to a good place, I was able to be open to love this second time around. So that's how I wrote the book, being strategic, organized, having special days to write. And COVID, I was at home, so I couldn't rip and run. So I was like, yep, me, computer, let's go. So yeah, I know I answered a lot of questions. Thank you.
Oh yeah, you did. You answered at least 2 of those questions
4.
that at least 2 of the questions that I had, because I've been married for 21 years, and I'll be 47 tomorrow. So
that's such a blessing. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Every time I say that, I'm surprised that it's been that long, because I met my wife in college, and our marriage. How do I say this? Our marriage has been in phases. What I mean by that is because I've been an entrepreneur most of my adult life. I started my first business when I was 26 years old, which I'm still running to a degree in other businesses. So the reason why I say it's been a long time is because, it takes 3 to 5 years to build a business. So while I'm building the business and running this and doing that and making sure everything is kept at the house, my wife is doing her thing. She's in the medical field and things like that.
Nice.
So, we only catch up with each other every couple of years, besides seeing each other through the pass-through on the weekends and things of that nature. And it's not bad. It's a good thing because we both have the same type of mentality. She's a worker, I'm a worker. When I met my wife, she had 2 part-time jobs going to school. I had 2 part-time jobs going to school. So it worked out for both of us, and she's a great mother. And
that's awesome.
I just wanted to add on to that. It takes commitment to be able to get that far, and it takes communication. You know, you really have to be
Absolutely.
honest with yourself, and you really have to be honest with your partner in order to make that happen.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, and being that this is my second marriage, I was able to take the things that I learned, because everything is about learning, or it should be, so that I wouldn't repeat some of those same mistakes in this second marriage. And then I really focused on the marriage. The first time I was 22, and it worked for you guys. That's a blessing, and it has worked for a lot of my friends. But we were young, and the first time I was more focused on the wedding. This time I was focused on we were focused on the marriage, and we had a beautiful wedding. It was a surprise wedding. We can talk about that later, but the focus has been the marriage and what does God say about marriage, and really trying to be intentional and in line with his word about marriage. So this is year 1.5, so almost 2 years, and thankful that and prayerful that this is my forever mate.
All right, but let's get to it right now. Let's talk about this surprise wedding.
Yeah.
I got you, Fraser. I got you. Let's talk about the surprise marriage.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Because I've seen this on YouTube a couple of times where people just show up and bang, you're in the marriage, and I'm just like,
a whole wedding.
Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but that just couldn't work for me.
Oh my God. So yeah, we have so much fun. And that was the only time in my whole life I've been able to keep a doggone secret. But okay, so we actually met online. So we can talk about that. We met on Plenty of Fish. So shout out to POF. It worked for us. Okay. And we dated. Yeah. So we got a whole lot of topics to talk about, right? So we dated for 3 years. And so I told you I had this wedding at 22 where I was focused on the wedding, huge wedding, party of 22. It was just a whole lot of stuff, right? So I was engaged, I told you, and we broke up, had another date, broke up. So by that point I was over weddings. I was like, I don't want a wedding. So my now husband was like, well, Kesha, I've never been married, so I want a wedding. I was like, well, what we gonna do? I don't want a wedding. I'm tired of planning weddings. He was like, we're gonna do a wedding. So we made a compromise and we would do a small wedding. All right. So this is what we told people. We got engaged in March of 2019. We got married in June. So we planned the wedding in 3 months. I had a wonderful wedding planner, Dion Rivers. If you're watching, shout out to Dion in Atlanta. Wonderful job. So we told people we were having an engagement party. So beautiful invitations. They look like wedding-ish, but anyway, beautiful invitations. And so they thought they were coming to an engagement party. So the trick was, because I had to keep the lie going, right? So the trick was we were getting married. We told people we were getting married on a cruise in December. So that's what I was saying. So excited about the cruise wedding. Let me know if you want to go. DM me your information. Like that was the lie, right? I had made a whole little flyer. Wedding date, December on the seas. Like we were all, my husband's like, this is good. And so the engagement party was June 28th, 2019. And so it was at a hotel on a Friday night. So it really could have been a party. Right. So I told them to, make sure you're on time, because you know how we do CP. You say 6:30, they come at 8:30, thinking it's a party. I said, guys, make sure you're on time. We have some wonderful things planned. I need you on time. So I just kept stressing that. And so they came. We had the cocktail hour. People were like, where's Kesha? My husband, we call him Jay. Where's Jay? Of course, we had to make an entrance, right? So they're mingling, having drinks, talking, taking pictures. And then my event plan was like, okay, guys, we need you to have a seat in the banquet area, beautifully decorated. I had a cake that said, she said yes, because this is an engagement party, right? So like we tried to hold it to the very end. And so they sat down, and then the pastor comes out, Pastor Andy, shout out to him, Ward Overcomers Christian Church, Durham, NC. And he was like, okay. And they're like, why the preacher here? What's going on? What we do? Why pastor in white? And then he said, okay, I know you guys thought you were coming to an engagement party. Surprise, it's a wedding. And they were like, ah. And the crowd went wild. So I could hear them in the back. And then my husband came out. I came down the aisle to my soloist, Jesse White, beautiful voice, saying, This Is Why I Love You by Major. I came down, had a wedding, went right to the reception. I changed clothes, of course, from the white dress to the sexy dress.
That's right. That's right.
We turned it up. We had a ball. It was so much fun. And my girlfriend was like, I saw that invitation. I was like, this is a wedding. They were like, no. They said they talked. They was like, nah, she wouldn't do that. No. Then when they saw the cake, they was like, this a wedding. So some of them had bets. They said they literally had bets. Like, I think this is the wedding. So they're like, they're like, no, that's not the wedding. They get married on a cruise, remember? So that was the surprise wedding. It was great. We had a ball.
Man, that was wait. So you told a little white lie.
Little baby lie.
A little baby lie. But see, the parents don't feel that loud. The parents that come tell the truth. I like that. The parents
Right,
tell everybody. I'm a man of faith. It's a wedding. It's a wedding.
But we did tell our family. Like my mom, I couldn't surprise my mom now. No, I had to tell my mom.
Yeah, he's my mom.
So we told our family out of town, but the local people legitimately coming to an engagement party. It was dope. We had a ball.
Nice. Everybody's face expression when it happened.
Oh, she has
the pictures.
Able to capture the pictures. It was good. It was good. I was like, they was like, I can't believe you kept a secret. I said, girl, I can't believe I did it. I did too. I'm shocked too. It was fun.
That is great.
Oh, man.
And of course, no wedding party. Of course, no wedding party. Just me, my husband, and I have a 13-year-old bonus daughter. She presented the rings, but that was it. It was just 3, me, husband, and God. So a wedding party of 3.
Nice. Awesome. That is awesome.
It's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Now, let's get to the other question now. From that, it's not a low note. It's actually a good high note. You said
I like that story.
Oh yeah. HSBC in Alabama.
Yep.
And what do you think some of the downfalls are? Because during the last administration, Frazier and I don't like to say his name here, but there was huge talk about cutting funds, not getting them funded properly. Everything that could have been right was always wrong when it came to HSBCs, right? And how do you see with the new vice president and her being, a graduate from HBCU, has it elevated all universities, or do you feel like we're still going to be trapped, so to speak? Because last administration, when you talk about historically Black colleges, it was almost like a curse word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you still see that pull from the other side, but it's just like so many people. I mean, my godbrother graduated from Howard, Dr. Medical School. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it has to be there, so to speak.
Yeah, great question. So I think that our Vice President, Kamala Harris, HBCU grad, D9 organization, Greek letter organization, just so excited for her. But yes, her presence has definitely raised the profile, in my opinion, for HBCUs. So we got to see when it was time to vote, how we strolled to the polls. She's a member of a sorority. I am too. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, of course. I have to shout that out. But yes, we got to come together as HBCU graduates, as fraternities and sororities. So the world got to see the power of the Black, we unite, right? So Black unity at its best. So I think us working together definitely raised the profile. So you saw, especially on social media, everybody, I'm an HBCU grad, or I support HBCU. So that definitely raised the profile. So it is my hope, and I think we won't really know, but it is my hope that this new administration, because we have a woman of color and an HBCU grad, that there will be intentional initiatives to support HBCUs. But we know that they're relevant. We see that with Kamala Harris. We see that with Stacey Abrams. I mean, there's so many representation of HBCU graduates. And when people say they don't prepare you for the real world, we're in the real world. We have a whole vice president of these United States, right?
That's right.
In the White House. So the question about the relevance of HBCUs, I hope is a dead conversation now.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I don't know that we really know what this administration will do specifically, but it is my hope that her influence and her having a voice at the table will change things and really allow us to have the funding that we need. But as far as visibility, credibility, I think we now see that HBCUs are not the lesser choice or not the watered down choice. You can go to a HBCU and do great things, as we see daily with the White House, with me, with other people who are HBCU graduates. I wear that proudly. And I actually chose a predominantly white institution for my doctorate on purpose, because I wanted to show people that I'm just as prepared as you are at this PWI, right? And so I was there. 2 HBCUs, and I chose a PWI just to have a different experience. I was more than prepared. And so HBCUs do prepare. They create the most teachers, doctors, engineers come out of HBCUs, and we're out here killing it. And so it is my hope that this administration will be focused and make sure that we're funding our institutions appropriately.
Yeah, well,
because that was my point.
I'm gonna add a little bit to that, because when I was going to school, I actually toured majority Black colleges. And I'm gonna tell you a stat. They don't even tell you because they want to keep it low key. The actual stats on HBU schools are a lot higher graduation rate than any school, majority white school there is. Like for instance, I'll say Alabama A&T. I went there. I went to see.
You said you went to Alabama A&M?
I went to Virginia Tech. We're there. I went to Folk University, which is very good. Folk University, good doctors. Come out State, beautiful school. I mean, it was so many schools. There's so many schools I could name. I couldn't name all of them.
That's awesome. That's great. So you did tours?
Tours. Oh, every summer we went on a college tour, and we went to all the schools. And I tell people, the first thing that caught my attention was, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a male. The ratio of men to women was totally 30.
I knew you were gonna say it.
Ooh, I love it.
I knew you were gonna say it.
But when I tell you, but here's the thing I love it though. The women in the school hold you to a great standard. If you do go to school, you will graduate. And the graduation rate, and tell you, the teacher, tutor, when they talk what a tutor look like, man, when I talk about beautiful, I will learn anything she teach me.
Listen, so you was ready. Let's get this learning.
And now the stat will tell you this. Now the graduation stat, every school I went to, the graduation rate was 86% graduation rate. And that was kids coming in with a 2.0 GPA with a tutor. So anyway, that for instance, I went to St. Augustine University. That's one school I went to. And
that's right down the road from me.
Yeah, it was in Raleigh. They said the first thing you come to school you get, because by the Christian school, we give you a tutor. Doesn't matter if you came with a 3.0, 9.0, whatever, because they said a transition from high school to college is very difficult for you students coming in. They prepared you for your first, second, third classes. And you have a tutor all through your first semester to be sure that you went. And another school did it was Savannah University, Savannah State.
Okay.
Savannah State one time. Man, that food is
fried chicken Wednesday.
You still remember?
Man, the food alone is coming to school. I want people the food alone.
So you came for the food and the women.
Hey, right. Hey, what can I say?
Okay. As long as you know.
I'm a young male trying to go to college, and I tell you, the one thing I love about it is they give you a support cast that's unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
You get to meet the dean of the school. What school we go to, Florida State, whatever, do you meet the dean? First time you go to school.
Right.
The dean come and say, how are you doing, son?
Yes.
What you doing to improve your experience in college? Huh?
And really want to know. And they really want to know. Yeah.
They will have meetings on Sunday before school classes start to tell you, this is how it's going through the week. I'm the dean. What more thing we need to do implement to make it better? Just why I say HBU, pick what you said, they prepare you for every inch of life.
Absolutely.
The failures, the upwing, the downwings, the mentally mindset. When you come out HBU, I think a lot better because you don't get that I'm a number in your head.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the
so I actually work at an HBCU. I don't know if I said that. So I work in higher education. Yeah. And so I love that we're able to be very nurturing, very hands-on. Of course, that hands-on looks different in COVID. We're not able to meet the same. But at a larger school, you are a number. But at an HBCU, I can call my students, hey, I didn't see you. You were supposed to be at this meeting. Where are you? What's going on? We can grab you and, kind of hold you tight and show that tough love. But it shows that we really care. So that's the one thing about an HBCU. We are so nurturing, supportive, and still giving a quality education. And so I'm able to work with my students, hands-on, and we do programs to make sure that nobody's left behind. And so, of course, there's some that, won't be able to keep up or, make different choices in life. But it's great to see the students who are really focused and serious that we're able to help them to push it through. So I work primarily, you talked about that transition to college. I work primarily with freshman and sophomore students to help with that transition. I supervise our first year experience program. So I get to see firsthand how important it is to make sure our students have the resources, the support, the tutoring, all of those things that they need to be successful. So that's the work that I do every day with students. So I love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now moving on to my next set of questions.
Yeah.
We're right here and we're transitioning right into it. What do you see
I love it.
as far as grants and funding and opportunities for us when it comes to not just historically Black colleges, but just colleges in general, because we get left behind. Our counterparts are always the ones that manage to find the grant that could pay for this or the program that they can get into if they don't have the finances to help them with college, and it just, I live in Republican district. Okay, I'm just going to say that in New Jersey. And we are seeing it now with my seventh grader, STEM programs and a lot of other things that his counterparts are into. And, oh, did you find out about this program in the summer or that program in the summer? We don't see that. He doesn't get offered that because maybe he's an athlete or they just feel like, oh, but they always seem to take care of theirs. And the teachers are the ones that tell the parents about these programs.
Yeah.
Understanding that, going through that myself in high school and things of that nature, I wasn't fully prepared academically or financially to be able to get this. I mean, my parents always wish, oh yeah, you're just going to get a scholarship. Well, yeah, I mean, everybody can get a scholarship, but some students are not scholarship material, so to speak, because they don't know how to apply themselves to do it. And I was one of those students, you know. My grandma used to say I was always hard-headed, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Place for that and place for time. She also said hard head make a soft behind, and she
I was just about to say that.
Right.
Yeah,
she's absolutely right. You
that's
know, and I
facts.
appreciate that. But as far as back to the money, are working in the institutions, do you see that more grants, more programs, more finances are coming to our kids now, or is it still a struggle? Because we're still seeing donations. Historically black colleges need donations and $100 million this year across the nation, and this, that, and the third. And the question becomes, like you said, credibility. It always seems like if you graduated from a historically black college, people look at your degree like it's toilet paper. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because
it doesn't.
Some of the top scientists in the world come from people like us, from historically black colleges. Like I said, my godbrother's a doctor, a successful doctor now. You see what I mean? So it's just that perception. So to the money, how do you see it flowing? Is it still a struggle?
Yeah. So I think it depends on where you are. I really do. I think certain communities, certain pockets of individuals have access to more resources. So I think it really depends. What I found is typically I'm a first generation college student. So that means my parents didn't graduate from college. My mom got her associates later, but I'm still considered a first generation college student. So typically first gen students just don't know what they don't know. A lot of students, but specifically first gen. And so even knowing to ask the questions, you know, to have those models in front of you. And so I say that it is so important that our educators are culturally competent so that they are not just showing one type of kid college or this type of kid something else, but showing all students all possibilities. We know that college isn't for everybody, and that's okay. Some people do military, some people do a trade school or some type of trade, and I think that's fine. The goal is to make sure that every student knows all the possibilities, and for those educators in front of them to not put them in a box. Oh, so because you look like this, you need to do this route or you should go this route. No, let's give every student every opportunity, every possibility, and let's not be gatekeepers and only giving certain resources to certain people. So it's important that parents are equipped, and if they don't know, to ask, to seek that village. There are some grants, like some federal grants, some TRIO grants that provide services to middle schoolers and high schoolers to get them prepared for college. But again, it depends on where you are. And so I think the funding, again, it really depends on where you are and what you're tapped into. So it is my hope, and even through my consulting business, that I really help people. That I help everybody, but I have a heart for people of color because I'm a minority woman, a Black woman. So making sure that we are equipped and prepared. So a lot of times we think success is about intelligence. A lot of times our students that are successful have the resources. They've been, engaged since first grade about these things, where our students sometimes are coming in, in the ninth inning, or I'm not a sports person. I don't know if that's right, but coming in the tail end,
that's right,
trying to figure it out. Did I say it right? Okay, good. My husband would be so proud of me. But anyway, and so really it's about equipping our community. So my thing is I have a doctorate, so I need to reach back. And so I try to do that every day, helping, giving back, sharing resources. People inbox me, Kesha, can you help my student? Yep. Kesha, can you help my child? Yes, I'm happy to. And so, for every student that I'm able to reach, you're helping a generation. So what I tell people, when what you're doing is not just about you, you're setting the path for the generations to come. So that was a long answer, but I think it really depends on where you are. But it's so important for anybody who's listening to ask those questions, ask your school counselors, principals. If they're blocking you, reach out to someone else, reach out to people in colleges. ask the questions. There are lots of, there are resources online though for scholarships. A lot of scholarships go unused every year. They're giving money back. And so make sure you do that. Do your research. I tell my college students, you're on your phone all the time anyway. Look up some scholarships, find out this information, fill out your FAFSA early to get your financial aid, the money that you're due based on income or what have you. So we have to do our part and know that everything may not be given to us. We have to work for it. Yeah. But I do think there are some communities that are a bit more advantaged and they have more resources, but we can, continue to move and fight and do what we need to do like we've done for centuries. But yeah, so it's there. We just have to seek it out and be intentional and focused.
Yes,
definitely. Because I know when I was, go ahead, Fresh.
Oh, let me pick about it. No, why I said that because when I was going to college, whatever, they had programs started for young women who actually got pregnant while they were in college, and a lot of the program they had where they can actually stay in college while they're pregnant. When they have the baby, they have a program to set aside for them to allow them to continue to go to college. Are those programs still available in certain HBU schools, like certain HBU schools, at the Alabama T, Savannah State, quite a few schools had established program because they were losing students based on women students because of pregnancy rate or because of postpartum. After postpartum, you're not focusing as much. You're not really trying to do certain things. Get easily frustrated. Like, how do you have that program established to help them out to stay in college? Like,
are they still there?
Yeah. That's great. I don't know of any programs per se that are designed specifically for women who are pregnant, but I do know that there are services that are available for any student that has a particular situation or a hardship. I used to work with students with disabilities, and so pregnancy is not a disability, but if you have a medical condition, you can receive services and accommodations based on medical. So legally, you cannot discriminate against a woman if she's pregnant. That there are whole laws about that. You can't discriminate against someone because of a medical or because of a life choice. So the schools have to provide, some type of process when they go out to have the baby to come back or to take a leave or to take an absence. So there are policies in place, federal policies that support against discrimination. And so basically we do have to work with pregnant women, people who choose to have families. So I know some of the old school professors, not just on my campus, everywhere, would say, well, they shouldn't have had a baby. They shouldn't, women get to choose. Women get to choose. So we're not going to even debate that. Women get to choose when they want to start their families. And so if they happen to be in school or happen to be working, just like at work, you get leave for maternity leave and maternity and paternity leave. So I love when fathers take time. I think that's awesome. The father needs to bond with the baby too. But there are laws and things in place. But I do love the question. We do need to continue to be intentional about that. But I love when I see on college campuses, the rooms for you to, to do your nursing, the lactation rooms. Yes, I've seen those. I'm thinking bigger now. When you go into a restaurant, you see the changing table in the men's restroom, the women's restroom, and the men's restroom, because men take care of babies too, right? We know that men take care of babies, right? And so just being inclusive in all of that. But that's a great question. But I think we can always continue to do a better job of that. But legally, we can't discriminate against a woman to make a choice to start a family whenever she chooses. Right. Yeah, good question. I love that.
Let me add on to that real quick. What do you think that historic Black colleges need now?
What do historically Black colleges need now? I think we are, with our phenomenal history and legacy and heritage, we need to carry the banner for our HBCUs and our institutions. So giving back, of course, financially, we know our colleges need the resources, but also showing up and, volunteering when you can. Recruitment is huge. We know we need students to attend, right, to keep our doors open. So serving as that recruiter to really champion for students to come to, if not your HBCU, an HBCU, and just making sure that we change the narrative. HBCUs are not a watered down version of education. We're not the B side of the record. We are the real deal. And we're moving and shaking and producing some stellar scholars that are doing phenomenal things in this world. So changing that narrative. We need to continue to make sure we're choosing strategic leaders that are leading our institutions. And so people that are competent, that are committed, not making political choices with leadership because, you know, it's a political choice, right? And so just making sure that our leadership are operating in integrity on our campuses and that we keep students first. So students should be the center of every decision. I am extremely student-centered. And when we're in these meetings, I'm at these tables, I'm like, okay, we're making this policy, but how does this impact students? Okay, I know this is our end goal, but how is this impacting students? And then the main thing is you got to talk to the students. You have to hear the voice of the students. So we as the adults, the grown folks, think we know everything, and we know a lot, but we weren't in college today in a pandemic right now with the things that they're facing. So I tell my students all the time, your voice is powerful. So if there's something you don't like, you need to rally your students, get with your SGA, and you need to make some noise. I said, you can get things done way faster than you think if you guys unite and do it the right way. So HBCUs need to continue to uphold that legacy of greatness. They need to continue to champion for themselves and other institutions and just continue to deliver the great students and the great scholars that we're delivering. So yeah, so I'm a proud grad and love to shout out Alabama A&M when I can and North Carolina Central University when I can. Super proud. And they did me great. They did me great. I'm thankful.
I have another question when it comes to that. I know in elementary school, we're seeing kids as young as 9 years old commit suicide because there's no interaction with kids. And I am still shocked by that because I don't even know how a 9-year-old commits suicide. That's my first thing. And the second thing is when my kids were like, oh, it's full virtual, they celebrated it. I mean, my son was up till 2:00 in the morning, chilling, laughing. All I hear is because all he had to do was just roll out of bed, do this, and he was ready for school. He didn't have to get up. He didn't have to do anything. My daughter the same way. When my daughter knew that she was almost quote unquote free, it was over. It was a wrap. So maybe my kids are just a little bit different, but to know that some kids are struggling with interpersonal relationships or I didn't know that you seeing your friends was that important to you that you would kill yourself. That's the God's honest truth. As a child, that's the God's honest truth. Right? So if kids are doing that in elementary school, middle school, are you seeing some of that same, I don't know, behavior in your college students, or is it just they're mature enough to understand?
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, and I don't have any stats in front of me, but unfortunately, the suicide rate is alarmingly high. And I believe it's increased even in the pandemic. So I used to be an elementary teacher. I think I said that. I used to teach third grade. And thank God I never experienced any of that with any of my students. But there are students as young as 8 and 9 years old taking their lives. And I remember when I saw a suicide on TV or on social media, and that was the same question I said, how does a 9-year-old even know to do that? Exactly. And this is what someone said, because of social media, right? Mm-hmm. And so they have access to so much more. I don't know how old y'all are, but way more than what we had growing up. Mm-hmm. So this access, just unlimited, the World Wide Web, you can see anything, right? And so mental health is real. We can't, as Black folks, deny it, and we can't just pray it away. And of course, I pray and believe in God, but you have to put some work. And if there's a real issue, consider therapy. And I'm a proponent for therapy. I go to therapy myself, love my therapist, thankful for him and the God that I serve. And so we work in concert, right? So mental health issues are real. They start in young children. And so I have not birthed a child, but I do have a 13-year-old bonus daughter. So as parents and educators, we have to pay attention, be in tune, know what our children have exposure to. What are they doing on their phones? What are they looking at? Making sure that you're connected. When my bonus daughter is with us, she's primarily with her mom, but when she's with us, dinner, no phones. Like there are times that there's a no phone zone. We need to connect. We need to look in each other's eyes and talk and connect without our gap. And I love my phone too. I get it. But we have no phone zone. So my point is you have to connect and to know what's going on with your children. And if you sense anything as a parent, as an educator, as a village member, you need to say something. Okay. So I just feel bad for this generation, honestly, because they have social media and it can be great. Like we're on social media now. This is great. But it's a lot of pressure to feel perfect, a lot of pressure to feel pretty, a lot of pressure to look skinny. Like it's so much pressure that kids face. It's FOMO, fear of missing out. I mean, it's just so much that they're just bombarded with social media, and then the constant needing attention and validation and likes. I can't imagine growing up with that. Like we got it as adults where we're already developed somewhat and we have a sense of who we are for the most part. But a child, when you're still trying to figure out who you are and you have all these images right in your face, like for hours. So I say all that to say there's a thing, and I don't have the exact name of it, but this basically like this kind of complex about how social media impacts you. There are research studies that says if you spend a lot of time on social media, it can make you depressed and withdrawn, even though you have 1,000 friends on Facebook or whatever, Twitter, Instagram followers, you still feel so very much alone. And so there's studies that talk about that. So I'll be curious to see the impact of COVID plus social media. So I say all that to say, yes, we have had suicides on our campus, college campuses around the nation. It's really, really hard. Mental health is real. So I encourage my students, talk to me, go to the counseling center. It's free. It's a part of your tuition. Take advantage of the services. I love that more and more students are feeling more comfortable with therapy. We're breaking the stigma more. So that's great. But we have to continue to say that it's okay to talk to somebody. I'd rather you call me and talk to me than I read about your successful suicide tomorrow. And so I'm thankful for a village. Like I said, my college students have services on campus. Every campus does have those services. But unfortunately, we do see it. And so I just try to champion them and know that you can make it. Please take advantage of the services, take care of yourself, work out, eat right, make sure y'all rest. You have to rest your body, all those things that you can do to control because, movement and sunlight, those things help, your mood, right? What you put in your body. What are you doing as far as your faith? Are you praying? Are you meditating? It's really about holistic wellness. So how can you be whole, mind, body, and spirit? So yeah, but it is a real thing and we can't deny it. We have to address it as Black people. I'm talking to Black folks. Suicide and mental health is real and we have to help people and get the services and support that we need for our people, our children, our families, and for ourselves.
Right. And I just wanted to add this question, this statement here that Audra just put in. She said, for some kids, getting out of the house for 5 or 6 hours, was a necessity because they were in a bad situation. And now that they can't do it, they have to deal with it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I wanted to use that as an intro into the next question, because I know you said you still use going to therapy and things of that nature. And counseling saved my marriage. You know what I mean? Because even though we've been married for so long, we had, like I said in the beginning, we had phases of disconnect where I'm working a business, she's doing something, this, that, and the third, and we didn't know how to come back. And I think the saving grace for us was one time when our Valley experience where I was just like, I'm done. Because I'm not building this business, fighting outside to be fighting inside, and it was just like a thing about, I was younger and I didn't have my son. He was born in 2007 where I kept saying, we ain't got no kids. So this would be very easy for the both of us, like an excuse for just to drop and leave it because I was so occupied. But therapist finally came back and was like, George, you keep coming here like validation, like you want me to tell you it's okay for you to get a divorce. And under God, it's not. You know what I mean? There's hasn't been anything in this particular marriage that would warrant you getting a divorce except you. You just want to go do this and want to go do that. And I looked at him and I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. You daggone right. Okay. Because I'm tired of being beat up. This, that, and the third. I can't do this. I'm never enough. There's not enough this, that, and the third. I'm working to put food on the table. You never walk in the house and the light is off. You never got a bill, the mortgage wasn't paid. There might be some other things that you may think that I'm not doing, but I'm meeting all the parameters to make sure that you are safe. You have, what I mean? Those are the things that were important to me. And it took communication, it took understanding to be able to do that. But back to therapy, what do you think the biggest problem is? Because my wife literally had to drag me to therapy. I was like, I ain't going to therapy, man. There's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you? Nothing wrong with me. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy for you. But I'm good. You know what I mean? And it was just a thing.
Right. That's how y'all do. That's how y'all do.
Of course you do.
Really? Yeah, absolutely. I did it.
Ain't no way.
That's how y'all do. The male gender. So yeah, so it's funny you talk about therapy. So I'm gonna jump back to my book for a minute. All right. So my book. Okay, yeah, I gotta get back on this book now. But I talk about in my book, Reach Higher in Life and Love. It is available on Amazon. You can also order it on my website, www.keshareed.com, KESHAREED.com. But I talk about the power of therapy in the book. And so my journey in divorce and depression, I needed to talk to somebody. I mean, it was just unbearable at times. So I believe in therapy. I think people, like I mentioned earlier, still feel like, you know, if you go to therapy, you're crazy. No, you're going because you need to work through some things. You need to figure out some trauma from your past. You need to figure out how to, you know, make a strategic plan for your life. It's not because you're crazy. Okay. So let's kill that, right? That's not what it is. It's about betterment of self. And so therapy helped me through those dark times. And so it's funny you mentioned your wife wanted to go to therapy. So I'm a newlywed. We're only almost 2 years in. And doing great. We have a great marriage. I'm so thankful, but we're blending a family. I have a 13-year bonus daughter, and that is people, you know, make it look cute, but it is a process. And I'm thankful that we have a great relationship, my bonus daughter and I, but it's still a blending that takes time. And so we actually started therapy probably about 3 months ago. And it was actually my husband's idea. And he just said, babe, and I was so shy. I was like, okay. He said, babe, I think we need to go to therapy. And I was like, okay, tell me more. He said, I just think we need to learn how to communicate better. And for a Black man to say that, so you know I got a gem. And I said, okay. And it's usually the woman, like you said, drag, like Joy said, dragging you to therapy. Yeah. And I said, okay. And so what I learned was you have to be obedient. He's my head, right? So I believe in the order of the Bible. We work together, but he is the head. And I said, okay. And so for us, come on. For us, this is what he said. I got to say this part. One day we were talking and I told you I work in higher ed. And he said, I never forget it. He said, I know you're Dr. Reed at work, but when you're at home, you are my rib. I said, ooh. No, you didn't check me. Okay. I was like, you know, us alpha women, we like to be checked a little bit. I was like, hey, that's sexy. But anyway, so he thought it was a good idea. So what I tell people, therapy, and so some people think, well, you're in therapy and you just got married, something's wrong. No, therapy is about maintenance for your marriage. So you don't wait till your car falls apart before you get maintenance. You keep the maintenance going. So I'm thinking 20 some years of marriage, of course you need to see therapy. I know Barack and Michelle went to therapy, honey. Yeah. So hopefully they help to normalize therapy and get support. But we check in with our therapist regularly. We talk about, you know, whatever it is we need to discuss. And it's so funny when we finish, we just kind of check in. I'm like, okay, so, and we kind of debrief about, you know, the 50-minute session or what have you, and we go on about our day. But I say that to say, you need to do what's best for you in your house. Don't let society make you feel like something's wrong with you. I think it's wise for us to be in therapy because we're new. And this is my second marriage. So I want to do this thing right. And this is his first marriage. He wants to do this thing right. And so we're committed to each other, committed to making it work. Like I said, we're having a great time. He's a sweetheart. You'll see him on my social media. I post him from time to time. Just I'm thankful for my king and we're making it work. Yeah. So therapy works. I'm an advocate for it.
True. I'm gonna go back to that too. Don't bring the book into what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And the same question the young lady had also.
Oh yeah. Hey y'all. I know Audra. Hey girl. How you doing, lady? I'm looking at the chat. Okay.
I noticed that it starts, like you said, it starts from the head. Kids react to how they see the parents react throughout the whole time, no matter good relationship, bad relationship, uncle, cousin, whatever. They react to that. And I think what your book said, where your book is, question in the book is, how you feel your book can actually intertwine with the way parents integrate with their kids in order to prevent certain things from happening, like loneliness, being self-aware, not feeling loved, appreciated. You also say you had a blended family, which you also, a lot of people understand that when another person comes into their life, that's another transition. And most kids transition into the traditional mom, daddy, original mom and daddy, not mom, daddy, and somebody else. And that also plays, also going to college, when they get a job, when they actually interact with their other significant other, they ever get one, it also turns how their relationship builds out, which is to be successful or not successful. And how do you think your book can interact with that and improve certain relationships to help out with the younger kids growing up to transition over by them having a great relationship, so the kid have a great relationship, and therefore continue that cycle to improve and change the cycle?
That is a great question. Oh my goodness. So the book, yes, Reach Higher in Life and Love, Finding the Love You Desire and Deserve. It gives 7 tips about how to reach higher in life and love. And so the focus is really about falling in love with yourself. Okay. Doing your work, being intentional, making sure that you are healed and restored so that you can show up in partnership and be successful. I tell people that it takes two whole people to make a marriage work, not two halves.
Right.
Two halves equals a whole only in fractions. In relationships, you need two wholes to equal a whole in marriage. So you have to really be in a place, not perfection, because none of us are perfect. If we waited for perfection, we never get married, right?
Yeah.
Wholeness and knowing who you are. So my first tip is know who you are. That's my first tip. I give 7 tips. So get the book. It's on Amazon. Know who you are. And so I talk about, you need to be honest with who you are. You need to know who you are, and you need to know whose you are, right? So who made you? You're wonderfully and fearfully made. So as far as relationships, I grew up in divorce. And so I didn't see a mother and a father together. I just had my mom. She held it down. So kudos to single mothers. They've been doing it for the beginning of time. Single fathers too. So I've learned that their fathers out here doing it too. Yeah, so we can't leave our fathers out. But I was raised by a single mother, and she just did it. She made it happen for us. So I got that grind and that grit from her. She had to do it. It was just, her and I have 2 brothers, so 3 children. And so I think it's so important for children to see positive, healthy relationships. So when my bonus daughter's here, we don't slide each other down, but we'll kiss and he'll smack me on the booty. Like, I think she needs to see, like, oh, you can have this, and it can be positive and impactful. And so I think it's important because her parents didn't stay together. My husband, they weren't married. And so I want to model that for her. So whenever she's with us, we do stuff as a family, but, we'll hold hands, I just think she needs to see that. And I think it's important because I didn't see it growing up. And I love seeing my husband with our daughter because I didn't have that. It was just my mom. So I say all that to say, I'm hoping that, and families can look different. So that's no problem at all. Families can look different and you're a true family. But I love to see when marriage works because, again, just like education, it transforms for generations. And so having that strong foundation of the family, I didn't have children in my first marriage, so I don't have children of my own, but just grateful that the 3 of us make a family unit and we're working at it every day. My bonus daughter will actually be here tomorrow. She lives an hour and a half away. And so she'll be here tomorrow. But anyway, I just think it's so important that we are healthy and whole so that we can demonstrate, what healthy and whole looks like. So a lot of families are dysfunctional. So that's a whole nother meeting, but we really need to turn the mirror on ourselves and try to be better. I think some of our older generations didn't believe in therapy, just go to church, but really saying, okay, what can I do differently now? So for me, and I love my upbringings, I'm not complaining about it, but what can I do differently now? So for therapy, that's different. We didn't do that. Nobody talked about therapy growing up. Who does that? You go to church. So, doing therapy, doing your work, open communication. We talk about everything. My husband, my bonus daughter, we lay it out. And we might cry about that thing, but we are family and we're going to pull it together. So the book really talks about becoming your best self, doing your work and knowing that you are valuable, you are worthy, and your relationship status doesn't change that no matter what. And once you're in that good place, if you meet a great person that can complement your life, but they shouldn't be the sole source of your happiness. Your joy really needs to come from God and from within. So it's my hope that my book will help women and help people to know that you can reach higher in life, whatever that is for you, career, and also in love if you so desire. That type of connection with someone.
Well, I definitely have to agree with that. Sometimes families is not always blood,
Right. That's right.
To embrace that, because I know there's people that I love in my life. I keep saying flesh of my flesh and blood of my blood, but we're not biologically related, and I care for those people and those people care for me. So we definitely have to be able to appreciate some of those things and people that we have in our life, especially with COVID, because you could be here today and die tomorrow. That's just how quick it happens. That being said, we're getting up. I think we have a minute left. Tell everybody what they can find you on social media.
Yes, I just put a little note in the chat, but yes, definitely follow me on Instagram at Dr. Kesha Reed, DrKeshaReed. Also, for folks who are on Clubhouse, Dr. Kesha Reed. I'm actually hosting a room tonight at 7 p.m. about reaching higher in life and love. And then on Facebook, because I try to meet everybody, my business page, you can follow me at Reach Higher educational consulting. You'll see my picture doing like this. So
All
that's
right,
me
all right.
on the page, and we can connect. Like I said, I have a educational consulting business. So if there are some things I can help you with as far as your organization, getting your degree, other things in education, I can help you with that. And then the book, again, my website, www.kesharead.com. Definitely get the e-copy if you like to read on Kindle, or the paperback via Amazon. So that's me.
And my favorite is, what tips do you have for all the young ladies out there who want to get better?
who want to get married?
No, I want to get married. Get better in life. So do
better. Yes. So my book actually gives 7 tips. Okay, 7 tips.
She gave us one. Give us one more. Don't give it away.
Okay, so I gave you one. Know who you are. Let me see. Let me find another one that might be good. So know who you are for sure. Oh, okay. I got it. Tip 7. I got it. Tip 7. Be content where you are. Yes, so that is an important tip. That is tip number 7. But get the books. You can read all 7. But being content where you are means finding joy and knowing that where you are is just fine. You're exactly where you're supposed to be on your journey. So if you're not in the place that you want to be, just keep going. Take each day at a time. I believe in writing the vision and making it plain. That's in the Bible. So write down the things you desire and then really come up with the steps to get there. You're not going to get there tomorrow. It may take, months. It may take years. It depends on the journey. But know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Things will work out. It gets better. And know that the best is yet to come. So be content where you are. Trust the process. And know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and trust God about your next, and pray that that's the vision that He has for you as you move forward and as you reach higher.
Amen.
Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom.
Well, we definitely appreciate you being on the show on a Saturday and taking the time out
to talk to us
and promote your book. We definitely love to have you again.
I would love that. Absolutely. Just let me know. This was awesome. And thank you for the platform. I met Fraser on Clubhouse. So shout out to Clubhouse.
Nice. Greatly appreciate it.
So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Great show. Great information. We've been knocking it out the box, man. A lot of great information. Check that book out. That book is important. And, we like to support everybody, especially authors. Writing a book is not easy. I can testify to that. Yep. So it's definitely. Check her book out. It's on Amazon. Go to her website, KeshaRead.com.
And all that family. Make sure you know she's a regular family.
That's right. Absolutely.
Got a great big family here.
Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Craig.
And that was Real Talk with George and Fraser. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Great weekend. See you next week.